This is the Body Wise podcast. Thank you for joining Laura and Cristina for another intimate exploration of collective wisdom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Body Wise podcast. I am your host, Cristina, and I'm really excited about today's episode. We are going to be talking all about functional medicine. I think it is a question on a lot of people's minds and maybe something that is not so well understood. We're going to talk what is functional medicine, who practices functional medicine, and our guest today, Dr. Brandy Victory, is just that, a functional medicine doctor. So we'll have her explain. But before we dive into it, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors at Kettle and Fire. They make amazing, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised bone broth from pasture-raised organic chicken bones and from pasture-raised organic beef bones, and so free-range chicken, sorry. And it's really delicious. And so I love using their beef one. Their beef broth is nightshade free, and it's the one that I've been using. What I like about Kettle and Fire is that they come in an all like recyclable packaging, and they're shelf stable. So I don't have, if I forgot to thaw it or whatever, it's not a big deal. I just can keep it in my pantry, and the flavor is really delicious. So I sip it as just like a beverage, or I use it in my cooking. You'll see it in a bunch of my recipes. It's really, really yummy. And, you know, I love making homemade bone broth. And pretty much Kettle and Fire and maybe like one other brand are like the ones that I trust in my own home as far as store-bought options go. They are not all created equal. If you want to order Kettle and Fire to be delivered straight to your door, use the code CASTAWAY, all caps, and you will get 25% off, which is pretty awesome. Link in show notes. But yeah, use the code CASTAWAY on their website and you will get 25% off your purchase. All right, on to the show. I am so excited to introduce you all to Dr. Brandy Victory. She is a director of chiropractic, and she can certainly adjust the hip for you, but she does so much more. I mean, just really an awesome healer. She specializes in several different techniques, which we're going to get into all of them and kind of like your niche and your specialties. But she went to the Texas Chiropractic College and studied with multiple mentors, deepening her understanding, kind of like a forever student and always learning, which I think, you know, all true like healers must be, right? And so you studied a lot of nutrition as well. You studied with Dr. Eric Berg, body restoration technique. I know a lot of people know who he is. With Dr. Mortar, with bioenergetic synchronization technique, the art running there, a Native American Apache shaman. That's amazing. And so many others. I mean, so functional nutrition, medicine, everything. And you combine it all to help women. And you specifically, I think, help women step into their power physically and mentally. And I can't wait to get into all of that. But before we get started, I'd love for you to tell the listeners, what is functional medicine? Like, how does it differ from like regular medicine? Like, what's the difference?
Absolutely. First, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. I appreciate the conversation. Yeah, it's my greatest passion to share the gift of healing with others, and this is just another opportunity to do that. So thank you. Functional medicine, functional health is a way of treating the body so that we can actually resolve the root cause of the issue. So often we have, a problem, like when we have a skin condition, right? So we want to put a salve on it and we want to treat the skin, but we're not taught in our society to look deeper than the skin. Like, okay, well, yeah, you have a skin condition, but why? That's always my question. I have patient after patient, and I'm sure you do too, come to me and they're like, no, my labs are fine. My doctor took all this lab work and he said, everything is fine. And I say, yes, and you still have symptoms. So why, right? And so functional medicine, functional health is a way of looking at the body from a holistic perspective, because, as in medicine, often people get parted out. And I just want to preface all of this. Like, I believe in Western medicine. Like, if I have a heart attack or break my leg, I definitely want to be here, However, it's more of a crisis care system rather than a health care system. And so what I believe we as functional health practitioners are doing is creating a new system to replace the broken one, to create a system that actually recognizes wellness in people and the ability to optimize our health and our well-being on every level, and creating a structure for that, a container for people to step into that greater level of wellness rather than waiting till they're sick and broken and tired to try to do something about it from a system that's broken.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that and I love how you said, like, it's not a war against conventional or emergency medicine. We all need hospitals and doctors. I mean, look, we're in a pandemic, and thank goodness for the healthcare workers and what they're doing. But I agree. We see a lot of people who have been to several conventional doctors for chronic things. And I think that's that very niche. If it's chronic, it needs a root cause issue, not just a treat the symptom, right? Absolutely. I love that. Amazing. So in your practice, what are the things that you see, especially, I think, I think most of my listeners are readers. I think most of your patients, I mean, that my listeners are women. I think most of your patients are women.
Yeah.
What do you see with women specifically that's kind of this recurring just theme in terms of their health that they come to you for?
That's a really great question. And I could answer that from the perspective of symptom. I see a lot of digestive issues. See a lot of fatigue. I see a lot of autoimmunity. I see a lot of thyroid. And again, if we're going to talk about this from a functional perspective, the underlying root cause of all that stuff is really the answer to your question, right? So when we're looking at things, depending on what the issue is, from my perspective, I look at things from this perspective that everything is energy. Everything is energy. Our bodies are actually compressed, condensed energy into form. And we don't often think of ourselves that way. We think, oh, this is solid. This book is solid. This table is solid. It's physical. Yeah, it's physical because it's energy compressed into form. And so every condition that we have in our body or outside of our body, in our relationships, our habits, those kinds of things, how we get stuck in loops, it's all got an energetic blueprint. And so when we look at very specific conditions, each condition within itself has a specific blueprint, if you will, which relates to our consciousness. And so essentially, like I have one patient that I'm working with, and she's psoriasis. She's got psoriasis, which is, as you know, is an autoimmune condition, and skin lesion stuff on her face and stuff. And so really embarrassing situation. I worked with her, found out she had leaky gut. We got that all cleared up and everything was going great. Her joint pain's gone, her headaches are gone, her bloating is gone, but her skin condition's not gone, right? And so it's like, gosh, what is this, right? So I have to ask the deeper question, like, when did this start? And she's like, well, this started about age 43 when I found out that my now ex-husband had cheated on me. And as we got to talking about it, I started to learn more and more about what was going on in her subconscious that was causing her to be stuck in this loop of expressing psoriasis on her skin. And I'm just going to back this up for just a second. So we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. Our conscious mind helps us think, judge, and reason. We drive cars, we have conversations, we teach, we heal, we do things with our conscious mind, right? Which is great. We can go to therapy and talk about our problems and get some feedback so we can grow. That's all valid and awesome. We need that. And we have the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is controlling about 99% of your bodily functions, your heart rate, your digestion, your metabolism, your hormones, your brain function, your neurology, like all of it, right? And so luckily, we don't have to think heart breathe or lungs breathe, heart beat, digest and digest, hormones pump. Like we don't even have to think of it. Thank goodness the subconscious is taking care of all of it, right? However, here's the kicker. The subconscious is running our programs. It's like a program, just like you can program your computer, we get programmed, and the subconscious is running our body based on past emotional stressors, traumas, belief systems, programs that we've learned, patterns that we've learned from our mothers, fathers, preachers, and teachers. And so we've, those things obviously helped us at some point, and they got stuck in the subconscious, and the subconscious is like, okay, I had trauma when I was 3 to 6. I never want to have that again. Subconscious is built for our survival. So the subconscious is like, okay, you're going to wear rose-colored glasses, Brandy, and you're going to watch out for any man who may show up that looks like that old guy.
Right.
So that never has to happen again.
Right.
So I live every single day of my life, moment by moment, waiting for the next.
Right.
Stuck in a state of survival.
Right.
And it's controlling my thoughts. It's controlling my actions. It's controlling how I show up. It's controlling my habits. It's controlling all of it.
Wow.
So when we have a condition like psoriasis, so the energetic consciousness blueprint of psoriasis typically revolves around something like this. People with psoriasis on some level, conscious or subconscious, feel like something is gnawing at them. And so with this woman, with this patient of ours who had psoriasis, when she found out that her husband cheated on her, she had devoted her life to him. And this was just like, she couldn't believe it, right? And it broke her. And so she just couldn't understand why. And even to this day, and he's been out of her life for years,
Right.
to this conversation we were having, she was like, I just don't understand why. And of course, you know, that would be gnawing at you every day. Every moment of every day, even though you don't think about it on a conscious level, every moment of every day, it's in the background going, why? Maybe I should never get in another relationship again. Why? Right? And that it got expressed in her physical body as psoriasis. So when we began to treat her consciousness and remove the subconscious patterns and break those patterns and shift the energetics of her consciousness, then the healing actually began to happen.
Incredible. That's so powerful.
So good.
Amazing. It's so good. And I do see that sometimes, you know, people, they fix their diet and they're doing all the things and the protocols and the supplements, and they start, you know, going to sleep and blue light blockers and drinking the water. And it's like, and then they're just like, but they feel like stuck. They feel, and oftentimes we forget that component. And I feel like I don't talk about it as much, because I don't have like formal training on it. I'm more like on the I receive side of energy healing, but that was a big component for myself. I mean, I have an autoimmune disease that manifests on my skin. I have a skin condition.
Oh.
It manifested when I was 13. Like, and so I definitely understood, like, I've, you know, tried to address the causes of like, why was this manifesting in that time of my life? Why, you know, why was why did my body express this? And there's actually studies that do show that people with childhood trauma, like traumatic events, do express autoimmune disease more often than not. And of course, our autonomic nervous system, even like the autonomic nervous system, like our vagus nerve is part of that. It's kind of like that mind, body, like soul connection of like, that's what's bringing this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. That's incredible. So the subconscious component of healing is a big part of your practice. And so you help guide women not only through you mentioned diet and lifestyle and protocols, right? And healing the gut, but through this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, you know, I feel really, really blessed to have come to my work in the way that I did. And of course, I did it through my own pain, challenge, and detriment at some point. And to really come to recognize that it takes addressing all of our parts, you know. And then some people like yourself, you know, you're like really good with the nutrition stuff, and it's so vital, right? And we all play our part, right? And I always tell my patients, you know, it's not just one path. You know, go to your therapist, go to your acupuncturist, go to your nutritionist if you need to, right? It's never just one path. We're multidimensional beings, and we have to address all of our parts. And one of those parts, and I feel like maybe the most important part, is addressing the consciousness. Everything is consciousness.
Right. Do you find do you have to have someone like ready to receive that? Because I feel like that is maybe a little harder, right? To like, you have someone coming to you and they're expecting, you know, the typical, like, we're going to run labs and we're going to do a stool test and we're going to do a hormone Dutch test and we're going to do a protocol. And then you're telling them like, well, you know, we're going to look at your subconscious. And are they like, what? Like, how can you express to someone that that's what's needed? Like, I mean, obviously the story you told us was just amazing. This anecdote, you know, like these anecdotal stories of healing. But I feel like a lot of people, women, you know, or people who are going to look up for a functional medicine doctor, I don't know if they're gonna expect that answer, right?
They're not. They never
Right.
expect it. They never expect it because no one's taught them that that's a possibility. What we've been taught is that, oh yeah, you're sick, you have to take a pill for the rest of your life. I had so many conditions when I was a young person, and I was so sick, and I really wanted to die. I was like planning my death. I can remember when I thought I had my last conversation with God, and I ended up finding my way out blessedly. I feel so blessed to have found that way out. But I mean, I was afflicted with bipolar manic depression, autoimmunity, hypothyroid, digestive disorders, 12 sizes bigger than I am now, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. Like the list just goes on, and it was terrible. So terrible to be living in a body, wanting to live a normal life like everyone else, and just feeling like my life was going to be chalked up to staying in bed and watching Oprah every day, because literally getting out of bed and brushing my teeth was all I had. And it was a really bad place to be. But then when I started to learn, I met a functional medicine doctor. He helped me get off my medication, because the doctors were just telling me I would try to stop my medication. I'd be like, well, my problem, I know on a very deep level, my problem is not a lack of medication. So I should be able to get off of it and be well. And it just didn't work. I tried bumping my head up against wall after wall after wall. Doctors telling me, you're fine, your labs are fine, continue taking this medication, you're going to be on it the rest of your life, get used to it. And like none of it made sense to me. So at that point in my life, when I was like in the depths of darkness, I found Dr. Robert Rakowski, who's a functional doctor in Houston, Texas. And he actually did some really specific, this is how I got into my work. He did some very specific lab work, let me look at my own blood under the microscope, which was really cool. And then he was like, hey, I see what's going on. And this was the first person year after year to say, hey, we have hope here. You have a path. Here's what you can do, because I can see your nutrient deficiencies. I can see your toxicities. I can see how we need to replenish your body and restore its function so that you don't have all these imbalances. And it worked. I was like a miracle. I haven't been on medication in 22, 23 years, like a long time, right? Wow. And so we're not taught that we have this healing potential within us and we have to access it. Dr. Rakowski wasn't my be all end all. He helped me grow tremendously, but I did find myself bumping up against this wall after I started working with him. I started losing weight, I started getting my energy back, started feeling so much better. Yet I was having severe panic attacks if I left my house for any length of time without my supplements in my pocket. I was like literally having shopping, doing something fun, and then all of a sudden just bowled over, can't breathe, heart racing, thinking I'm gonna have to go to the hospital again, and so I at that point I was just like, okay, this might be something I'm gonna have to live with the rest of my life. Like, I don't know. And it was really kind of sad at that moment, because I thought I had tried so hard, and it's so frustrating to try so hard and come so far and then it not be enough. And I met another doctor, Dr. Robert Soanes, who's a chiropractor in Houston, and he specializes in consciousness medicine, energy medicine, and he taught me that there's maybe another piece of the puzzle that I was missing. And this is where I came to learn that I had deeper subconscious programming and trauma that really needed to be addressed if I was going to reach a true level of healing. And I absolutely believe that's why I'm alive today.
Wow. And that was the turning point. And then at that point, did you go down that path, find true healing, and then we're like, I want to help people do this?
Oh, I couldn't not. I couldn't not. I mean, it saved my life. I literally was trying to die. I was trying to die. And within a very short amount of time, considering how long I'd been sick, I began getting better. Like everything was changing in my life. Like everything was changing. And I just was so grateful and passionate. And I realized, oh my gosh, there's this path to healing that people don't realize is there, because we've not been taught about our own internal healing potential and how to access that. And we're not going to access it with medication. We're not going to access it with surgery. We're going to access it as we begin to dive deeper into our understanding of who we be as spiritual beings on this planet.
Mm. So what does it entail, that path? Like when you started working with this doctor who was like, going to kind of address the energetics. What did that look like?
That's such a great question. Um, I could explain it like my patients probably explain it, and it's going to sound kooky.
Okay, let's go for it. We like kooky on Body Wise.
And I do, when I work with people in person, I do that practice. It's an expanded version of that practice that I've learned and taught myself over the years. And I also do this work virtually without putting my hands on people. So there's two different ways of doing it. And a lot of it I've integrated into the work from the perspective of shamanism, because I've studied with a shaman for a very long time. And, it goes back to everything is energy, but we can get into that. When I went to see Dr. Soanes, and he was doing the hands-on work with me to help with my shift my subconscious, he would actually have me think about something that was bothering me. I never even had to say it, which was really cool. He's like, think about something that happened to you around the age of 6 that related to your father and the feeling of anger. Oh, the very first thing that pops to mind, that's what you think about. And then so that thought, every single thing we think about changes the function of the body. And it's either taking us towards wellness or away from it. So when he said that, it created a survival mode shift in my nervous system, which he could feel in my body through an evaluation he was doing. And then he took me through a process where he had me think about a specific word, think about a number, I mean, it sounds really wild, right? It's like, what is this? But what he was doing was giving me an energetic key to unlock the stuckness in my subconscious. And while I was thinking about that, he's holding different points on my body that corresponds to different parts of the nervous system, literally repatterning the nervous system around that trauma or that thought.
Hmm.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So that's kind of the hands-on version if I was going to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah. Then, when we look at things from more of the virtual component, which I see most of my patients virtually, obviously I can't put my hands on them, but my skill is at really helping people come into alignment with what is in their way, helping them. I walk them through a process. I give them different tools that they can use throughout the rest of their life, for that matter, so that they can begin clearing their own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how people feel kind of reluctant to, I don't know, like believe in this or give it a chance. I mean, I know my mother was like, I have an energy healer, and I'm like, I want to have you to have a session with her. She's in Miami though. This was when I lived in Hawaii, and I'm like, but don't worry, she can do it over the phone. I'm like, what? But it was really powerful, and I worked with her over the years. And even just today, I'm doing a coaching group, and one of the women in my coaching group was telling me that she's seeing like a functional, like holistic nutritionist and doctor to treat her with mold, but how he kind of like until like he has a diet outlined for her, and so working with the parameters, because he's essentially telling her like it's an energetic, like that's how they choose what foods to avoid and which not for her. It's very custom tailored to her. And I'm like, no, I get it. I'm like, I believe it. I'm like, I think there are definitely like, I don't think everyone can do it, but I think the people that can do it, like I've been on the receiving end, or like worked with people who very similarly, my energy healer will be like, when you were 8 years old, you felt, when you were 8 years old, something happened, and she'll give me like a kind of description. And I don't say anything. I don't say anything. When
Right.
you were 8, da, 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 and it's like, and then I'll be like, well, this happened. She's like, no, it wasn't that. And then this, and that's what it is. I'm like, we'll release it, things like that. And
Yeah.
so it's really
Yeah.
incredible how your body is holding on. And you're right, our brains, like our conscious mind, will consistently make, like, survive, work around it, blind to it, but it's still there. It's still there, and our cells are responding to it.
Yeah, it's no doubt. It's no doubt about it. There's one of my teachers, her name's Dr. Sue Mortar. Her dad was actually one of my original teachers in my work. And she's written a book called Energy Codes. If anybody's interested in this stuff, it's a great book. She talks about the quantum flip. And so, what's coming to light in science, I mean, this is science. And unfortunately, it takes schools to 20 years to catch up with what's actually happening in science. So a lot of people who are kind of just coming out of school may not be aware, or people who went to school a long time ago may not be aware of the field of quantum science, of quantum
Mm-hmm.
physics, but it just really is a scientific basis of how energy works and how it manifests in the physical form and how we experience physicality from an energetic perspective. And when she talks about the quantum flip, it's if you have a coin, if there's a coin right here, we got a front side and we got a back side. And on the back side, we've got victimhood. And then we've also got, it's kind of two parts on the back side. We've got victimhood and we've got, if you're in victimhood, you have no ability to conceive that anything that's happening in your life, you have some responsibility in and some control over. And, it's like everything happens to me. It's all their cause or the cause of COVID or somebody else did it. And we never even can go, what part did I play in that? That's victimhood. But then we've got the part of ourself on the backside of the model that says, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I might have some control if I just change the way I think, or if I use forgiveness, or if I practice affirmations, or if I study law of attractions. And we start looking into self-help, right? But we're still in the backside of the model because we still believe something's wrong. And then on the front side of the model is where we're in creatorship and we're in our soulful aligned self to the truth of who we are as magnificent beings, as an expression of God, if you will. All right. And so when we're on the backside of the model and we're like, okay, even if we're in the self-help section, we're like, okay, I'm going to just say my affirmations and put a smiley face on it and surely everything's going to change. But underneath the surface, subconsciously likely, it's like, oh yeah, but. And so in that place, wellness doesn't happen. Optimization of our well-being doesn't happen on every level. Good luck getting it on any level for that matter, right? It isn't until we move to the front side of the model where we're in our creatorship as a creative expression of God, working in oneness with God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, and our families and our communities and the world, right? Like being, and I think in this moment in time, like we're being called forth for this more than ever.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, definitely, I think what a pandemic, what a reminder that we are one, that we are in this together. And although, we are separated and there's isolation, I think that we are all craving that so much, like just to hold our neighbors, to be together, to support each other. So it is nothing to remind us that we are all friends, humans and in it together than a global phenomenon, really.
Yeah.
So tell me the importance of spirituality, like of the spiritual in your practice. Obviously, it's really big. It's really important. Like, you mentioned God, a spiritual practice, religion. So it's how do you weave all that into your healing?
Yeah, thank you. First, I want to say that my practice is not a religion.
Okay. Well, no, not like, but okay.
Yeah.
So when you're saying God, you're not saying like because I think a lot of people like were like, God, and then, but is not, as in like non-denominational. So when you're thinking like you're not, I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I don't practice Catholicism, so it's not based in religion, it's spirituality.
Yeah, I actually feel like religion and spirituality are two different things. Religion is a man-made construct, where spirituality is our truth and expression of who we be on this planet. So, I personally believe that all the religious paths have some benefit and something beautiful to offer. So I follow it all. I mean, I was raised Episcopal. I was as one of the altar kids, pouring the wine and, lighting the candles and all the things. And I loved it. But then I came to this point in my life where I was like, okay, I have all these questions, but no one's able to answer them. This must not be for me. So I walked away from it.
Perfect.
And I started exploring all different kinds of things. And so now I I do a particular chanting practice called Nichiren Buddhism. And I have a picture of Jesus on my altar. And, probably Nichiren Buddhist practitioners would probably frown at that, but who cares? Because that's what turns me on, right? Like Jesus is the greatest healer. If I can aspire to be him every single day, or at least achieve as best I can to be that every day, holy crap, what kind of amazing, powerful healing is going to happen on this planet, through me. So I follow all paths, like Hinduism. Like I really believe it's all beneficial, and I would never discount any spiritual path for that matter. However, if we're going to look at it from a functional perspective, we're looking at root, and the root of all religion is spirituality, is connection to source, God, creation, whatever you want to call it, love.
True. Yeah, and energy, which is essentially a form of, right, when you think energy,
Yeah.
which is beautiful. Awesome. I love that. I agree. I was having this conversation with my husband the other day, about, I mean, I'm also of the belief of, I'm very much like, whatever you want to call it. I think that there are many names for faith, for spirituality, and I think people have their ways. There's always a more structured religion, which I tend to not like partake in, like organized or structure. But I do believe in the something bigger than me, and that's something greater, because I feel like humans, we're speck of dust, in the grand scheme of things. And so I think that that's beautiful that you bring that into your practice. And I think for a lot of people who do hold on to their faith, and how that can be such a great tool for their healing, let's say, people are wherever they come from. And I think that it doesn't have to be at odds, right? Because someone can be like, well, how do you believe, in the quantum flip and in Jesus? I'm like, you can both,
You can have them
like,
both. Yeah.
right.
Why limit yourself to one?
Right, right. No, that's
Yeah.
very cool. Love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about root cause resolution, which, we talk about, like, we kind of dabbled into a little bit, but that's really like the focus, the end game, right? For what you want to, work with your patients, is that, like, whether it be, the spirit, the mental, the physical, the subconscious, it's the root cause resolution of what's ailing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you just kind of summarized the whole conversation there because, if you've got a physical problem, it's a symptom.
Right.
If you're
Right.
overweight, it's a symptom. If you're hypothyroid, it's a symptom, right? It's all
Right.
symptom. And so, again, we often are taught to address the symptom. I mean, that's what medicine does. It suppresses symptoms so we can quote unquote feel a little better, but it never really addresses the root cause. And so from my perspective, I think it's important to look at the physical body. So again, like I'm doing lab work, a Dutch test, all kinds of things that your medical doctor is probably not going to do. Course correcting from the perspective of the physical body, reducing inflammatory markers, improving leaky gut, digestion, dysbiosis, those kinds of things, improving nervous system function, through very specialized and particular protocols based on your body's needs. And this is, I think, the missing link for most people is they don't realize that their body is different than Sally's down the street. And they're like, I'm going to do keto. Sally lost 13 pounds. And then they do it and they gain weight and they're upset.
Right.
But your body is so different than Sally's down the street or your Facebook friends, right? Or your sisters. Yeah. Right. So you really need to understand where you're starting, what your body's needs are, how you're going to replenish them, if there's any toxic load that you need to get rid of, how you're going to do that, and have a plan for your own personal body so that you can actually have success in the way that you're looking to have.
Yes, yes. I mean, I cannot stress that the bioindividuality, and everyone is like in this digital age that's comparing of like, well, this worked for someone, it's I'm gonna do that. And fasting is a big one where everyone's like, fasting's gonna cure everything and autophagy. And then you have a lot of women trying it and just crashing. And then they have, their blood sugar regulation, then because of disaster, their thyroid, and it doesn't work for everyone. And also what works for sometimes for a little while stops working, and you have to pivot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I for some time in my life, I was in the fitness world thinking that was healthy. And what I saw time after time is season after season, every single professional was like, okay, this season, this diet doesn't work for me. I have to tweak my carbs, or I have to tweak my protein, or I have to tweak my workout. Like every season our body changes. And this is one of the foundational offerings in my work with my patients is that we actually, each season, we shift our focus. Like right now we're in the winter. And so with most of my patients, we're having some kind of conversation around, if not, and supporting their bones and their kidneys and their bladder and all the water elements in their body. And, we're going to move out of that. We're going to move into spring, and then we're going to move into summer, and we're going to move into fall. And in each season, our body needs something different. So if you're trying to do in the winter what worked for you in the summer and it's not working, there's a reason why.
Yes. Yeah. I learned that the hard way, being someone who never lived in seasons. I've always lived by the equator. And then I moved to Virginia, and I had a really hard time being like, fall and winter came, and I was like, who am I? What is happening? I didn't understand because I really always lived in like essentially like endless summers,
Yeah.
and by the equator, but moving, even just moving north and it getting colder and less vitamin D and moving less, like all the things that come with winter, just like it rocked my world. I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it was a very rude awakening.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. I love that. I'm so glad it's, yes, seasonal. We do change with the seasons. We're all connected to the planet, to the seasons, cyclical.
Right.
It's beautiful. Love it. So tell
Yeah.
me more. You have, you work with all your patients one-on-one, and people can work with you virtually. Yes.
Yeah.
If they want to, they can reach out. And then you have a program, your Up Level Health program, as well as a free course coming up. So tell me about the Up Level and the real truth of weight loss and healing. I'm excited.
Yeah, so right now I'm teaching a course. It's weekly right now,
Okay.
and it's called The Real Truth About Weight Loss and Healing, Why You Feel Stuck, and the 3 keys to freedom and well-being. So,
Amazing.
a lot of kind of touching on what we talked about today with, getting to the root cause resolution and why the program that worked for Sally down the street isn't working for you and what you can do about it is really what that's about. It's a free class. I'm happy to give you the link to that.
Thank
And
you.
then the Uplevel Your Health VIP program is a group coaching program that I have online, and it's $27 a month. Like, it's really simple. It's just so my work can actually reach people regardless of their socioeconomic status, right? Because I want people to get well. I want them to have the opportunity to at least to have a seed dropped into their consciousness that they have healing potential inside them. We just got to unlock the key. So it's really fun. Every week I go live on there, so you can ask me questions and get personalized care, and I'm happy to help people that way. It's really fun. And I'm posting stuff in there to support people through the seasons, right?
Right.
Yeah, so those two things. I also will give you the link to my website, which has
Awesome.
several patients who've sent me testimonial videos, and I've just
Amazing.
posted them on there. And there's a place where you can sign up for my newsletter, and if you do that, you can and that's free, and you can just learn about all my offerings and hear what other patients are having to say.
That's amazing. Yeah, we will link everything in the show notes, and I'll make sure when I send in the newsletter, we'll link all that as well. This episode will be not just online on my website and on all podcasts, but on YouTube as well with captions, as all of our things are. But I love that you mentioned really quick, because I think functional medicine, unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover it yet, which I think is unfair because it makes it unaccessible to a lot of people. And the basis of my work is free content for people, like through my website and articles. But I love that you offer then this group, and that you're like, oh, people are like, well, I can't afford a VIP group, but right, $27 a month is very doable. And I love that you address the accessibility portion, because that's something that like really pulls at me, that I want to be able to, I talk to people and I know this is what they need, but they like, not everyone has $5,000 to pay out of pocket for care over the course of 6 months or a year, whatever. People don't have it. And it's just the cost of just like the taste of the test and the time. And I think that, again, as more people, hopefully we move into where insurance starts covering it. But I love also then for more practitioners to have offerings, to be able to reach. And I love that just speaks so much to you just really want to help people. So I love that.
Yeah, thanks. If I could give it all away for free, I would.
Wouldn't we all? I mean, I feel the same way, but I then I like have to live also. And I
Yeah, right.
agree.
I
I
know. I'm
mean,
like, oh yeah, I think I need some shoes. I better charge somebody, right?
yeah, for sure. And I think there's ways, in building businesses that are, businesses with heart, businesses with a social responsibility, something that I'm working toward, because I just launched a group coaching program. So like my first round, obviously, like my pilot group, I'm on, it's like nonstop work. But for my next one, I hope to offer a scholarship. And then for the next one, maybe two. And then, eventually I'd love to sponsor actually people to get help with a functional medicine doctor. And just like kind of have the Castaway Kitchen like cover the expenses and eventually work up to that.
Ooh,
But I
cool.
love, yeah, I think, again, there's always ways for equity and just for accessibility, and to really work on giving back. And I love that with your program that you give so much of yourself to make that possible. And you said to plant that seed, because I mean, even it's the empowerment, right? The empowerment is so important.
It really is. And also, I do want to say that I also recognize that this is about abundance and flow for everyone. And
Right.
I have, honestly, I mean, the truth of it is the people who pay for care get well faster.
Yeah.
They just do, because when you're invested, when you say yes to yourself and you're like, yes, I am doing this no matter what, this is for me and I deserve it. And I am ready to get well and live a life of happiness and joy and feeling good in my body and having energy and being able to be around for my grandkids. Yeah, say yes to that and then show up for it. Like show up with your energy, show up with your finances, show up with whatever it's going to take for that to happen for you. Because I had to do my own investing and my own well-being, you know?
There is definitely the science behind that. So I actually and we learned this, I learned this in my program as well, that when someone commits and they're making that, like, it's almost like, think about it as like a sacrifice, you know, right? They're making a sacrifice to invest in themselves. And I think women specifically, they tend to, right, they spend their money on their kids' extracurricular activities, and their husband needs a new tie, and for, you know, more snacks for this, or to cater a party for so and so. But then it's like, no, take those, you know, $200 and put them in you, you know. And I think, and when you invest in yourself, then like more, it like multiplies, right? That, like, it's almost like that is like planting a seed and then it multiplies. So I do definitely see that point. I feel like there is something in that, in
I
people
mean,
making.
I have a coach, and you know, according to my experience, he's pretty high end. And I said yes to him about 8 months ago. And I was like, I'm doing this. I'm going all in. Like, I have this extra cash. I'm just going to throw it in and I'm going to show up for it. And I tell you, I mean, I work really, really hard for that guy, really, really hard. But here I am 8 months later. And what has unfolded with our work together is just, I couldn't have imagined it 8 months ago.
Right. No, I know. There is something there. I just think that I feel like some people are in a place where, like, they can't, like, you know, I'm thinking about like a single mom who is like,
Yeah.
you know, can barely make ends meet. Like, she'll need, like, you know, and if we get her to feel better, and then she has then more energy, and then maybe can get a better job or a different type of job, and then from there, then it'll pay it forward. You know, there's always situations for everything. But
Oh man,
yes, I
yes,
definitely,
ma'am. I am like
and
way on
even in
board
making
with
the
you.
yeah, and even in just making the time. But I did the same thing too recently. I actually hired a business coach, and I have never done that before in my life. But I was like, you know, I want growth for my business, and I've never spent money in that regard. And it was something that I'm like, can I do it? But I was like trying to think of a place from abundance, and I agree. It's energetically speaking, there is something of not living in the scarcity mindset. And I want to touch on, before I let you go, because we feel like we keep always do this and we can talk forever. Is that happens in healing too, right? When you have that, like, I'm sick, I can't eat this thing, I can't do that thing mindset, you're gonna stay there, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the backside of the model.
Right.
It's the backside of the model. So how are you gonna flip into the front side where you're actually in your truth and your creatorship and your true soulful self living, like in the deepest part of your core? Like, how's that gonna happen? That's where you access your healing potential. And that's when you can eat what you want.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna go out and eat corn syrup because I know that's not good for me.
Right.
Right. That doesn't work for me. I won't ever do that again, probably. I don't imagine, unless it is by accident.
Right.
But it's because I'm tuned into that part of myself that knows better. Like that wiser part of myself. It's like, why would I do that?
Right. Yeah, not having ownership. I think a lot of times, especially people with chronic illness, we tend to, the words we use, my Hashimoto's, my autoimmune disease, no, it's not yours. You don't own it. You don't want
own it. It's not your identity.
Exactly. That's such a big part. I see that language a lot. And then people want support, but I always say, be weary of groups. Like, certain groups can be great, but other groups, if you feel that vibe of people just owning that, like, the identity, that illness identity being like the backbone of that, you need to find another group.
Yeah. And I also suggest and invite people to really look at that. If that is their languaging, look at, like, don't just push it away. Look at, my Hashimoto's. Why is it important for me to own that as my identity? Why? Like, really be with it, right? Because if you're just going to push it away, you're kind of spiritual bypassing. You like really got to get down into the, there might be something deeper. Like for me, my old story was, if I'm sick, someone loves me. I'm lovable when I'm sick, right? And so, of course, I was going to be trapped in being sick because it's how I get love. Like, I had to really come to some real truth about what I was believing in and make a choice for myself differently.
Very powerful. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. It's very difficult to have those kind of like conversations with ourselves, right?
Yeah, it is. It's
It
not
is.
easy, but it's
No.
so essential. It's essential for those who are ready to wake up and get well. It's not
Right.
essential for those that are okay being in victimhood.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a choice. And it's okay either way. Just make it consciously.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's a choice. And I also feel like life is all about choices, the choices that we make and the choices in how we feel and the choices in our mindset. And and how we react to the world around us, right? Because there's that thing of like the world is going to happen. I think of it as a tornado of things just around you, but it's your choice how you react to it. It's going
It
to
is.
happen anyway.
Oh, and don't worry, I've had plenty of crybaby days, especially since COVID. I'm like, oh, one day it's great, and the next day I'm like, holy shit, what's happening? Excuse my language. About that. Like, who am I in this world? Like we're all going through it. We're all going through it, and I just really want to leave this conversation letting everyone know that I get it. Like I've been in the depths of hell. I've been in the darkness. I've wanted to commit suicide. I get it, and I also get that me, just like you, and every single other person on this planet has a potential for something better. And if we can help each other rise up into that, there's no greater purpose on this planet.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your knowledge and your energy with us today. It was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll talk soon. And again, everybody, you can find Dr. Brandy Victory. And again, we'll link all your website, but what online are you, your Facebook group, your Instagram? Where are your handles?
I will give you my Facebook group. Dr. Brandy at Instagram is my handle. My Facebook page, which is free, is Turn Your Soul On. And then I'll give you the links to my website. It's drbrandyvictory.com, and that's Brandy with a Y, victory like the cheer.
Awesome. Sounds
And that's
good.
where you can find my patient testimonials and things like that.
Wonderful. Well, everyone go check her out. And if you want to work with her and if you want to join her groups, the links are in the comments. And again, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.